Who wants to clap us in? Thank you for clapping us in, and welcome back to the Forge podcast. My name is BJ. That's Austin. He's Adam, and that guy is named as Burge tonight, according to my screen. But sometimes he goes by Michael.
Sometimes.
Thanks for joining us again. Episode 2 is being recorded live, not in front of a studio audience this time. We are doing this virtual from our home, from our abodes. 4 very different homes, very different abodes, but we have mostly all of us, invested in nice microphones for this beautiful podcast we're about to conduct. So we want to start this week and every week, hopefully, talking about the past week, the workouts we did, wins, failures, struggles, whatever it was. Take some time to talk about those because we're all on completely different journeys with what we're doing as far as our exercise regime goes. Austin, tell us about your workouts for the last week. What have you been doing? Wins, failures, anything.
Yeah, so had a difficult time in the beginning of this week. Monday and Tuesday, my wife and I came down with some foodborne illness, it seems. So I had a rough Monday and Tuesday. Was able to get back in yesterday. Yesterday did a push day. Today was pull day. It's fun. This is the first time that I am repeating workouts on this new workout plan that I've been doing for the past 3 weeks now. So seeing improvements from the last time I'm doing the same exact workouts have been really fun. I'm comfortable now, at least knowing what the workout is. So things were starting to flow really smoothly and really starting to up reps on things and the weights as well. Also starting to get used to using the gym with everybody else around. So that's been a new challenge that we're starting to get the flow on. But
I was going to ask you started this routine like basically when you started going to the commercial gym, right?
Yeah.
Because previously you were just working out in your basement with the dumbbells and whatever you could do with those dumbbells.
Yeah. So it was all new at the same time. So I've in the past gone to gyms before, but very different perspective this time compared to last time. Before I was using exclusively the machines themselves and making my own workouts up, which I would not advise for anyone to do. If you've not done workouts before, don't go to a gym and think that you can figure it out, because I was looking at my old workouts from like 2020 and my God, they were terrible. But yeah, working on this new workout routine, it's really interesting seeing like every day, it's got a leg day, a push and a pull day, and how different your body feels after each workout, even if you've done it before. So it's been fun kind of learning all this along the way.
So I was just going to ask, what's the rotation time on that? How often do you repeat workouts?
It's 3 times a week. You're doing, twice a week. You're doing leg push pull, leg push pull. But the 2 workouts in the same week are different. So you're doing the same muscle groups, but you're doing different workouts. So it's I think going to continue every week. You do the same workout once. And then I do know that as we get into, I'm in block 2 now. Block 3 is where things are going to change up a little bit. There'll be a lot of the same exercises, but there's a little bit more harder strength training pieces that come in the later blocks. So I've only done the 1 full week twice, and that's where we're at right now.
You mentioned kind of settling into that routine of actually doing the push-pull legs routine. Do you feel like you're enjoying doing the same muscle group twice a week? It's not the exact same routine, like you said, like the routine itself is different that second half of the week, but do you enjoy working that exact muscle group later in the week, or is your mind kind of wandering back towards maybe doing more full body stuff, or even like one muscle, a certain muscle group once a week?
No, I'm enjoying it. It seems to be about the right amount of time. Having roughly 3 days between them is just about right to get back to where I'm like, okay, I'm still maybe not my 100% self. I think if I to spread those out just a little bit, I'd probably be able to get a little bit better of a lift out. But the whole point is to build that strength. So, constantly having a little bit of fatigue's not really been an issue. And, it's still me being able to push it each week. I'm getting better with the weights in general. So clearly there's growth with that. So I'm just trying to stick with it and maintain that consistency with it too.
It's the biggest thing, consistency.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest struggle this week outside of just in general being sick?
Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say that there hasn't been a struggle in the gym at all. I try to focus on form because obviously being newer into these exercises, that's a thing. So I guess if we're
Huge,
gonna
yeah.
say anything is trying to maintain form and to think about form, because sometimes, especially towards the end of a set, it's easy to kind of lose that form and push past what is good form into just getting the reps done. So I've been trying to be cognizant of that, and even if I'm at the end of it, call it 1 rep, 2 reps early, and maintain good form rather than push past it. Last week on my deadlifts, we talked about hurt my back a little bit, and I think it's just at the end of those reps getting a little bit out of form, not focused on it, and so just trying to maintain that and make sure that I focus on keeping good form, and with that build the good habits that we need to maintain.
Yeah, when we talk about form of an exercise and someone's overall like range of motion, how well they're executing the exercise, in general, we do expect form to break down over the course of those sets and reps, especially as you get later on, further into your sets and deeper into those reps in that individual set. Really approaching that RPE 9 or 10 where you might only have 1 or no reps left with good form. It's very normal for things to break down, but to your point, Austin, being cognizant of how much it's breaking down and not allowing yourself to just continue to sacrifice that form to the point that you end up getting hurt is something that takes a lot of mental wherewithal to be aware of, and then also putting your ego to the side so that you can actually avoid hurting yourself in the long run.
Yeah, 'cause I don't want to make it seem like I'm maintaining perfect form the entire time. It's just there's kind of that limit where I'm like, okay, this is drifting into bad form. I don't want to get to that point ever. So, so yeah, I mean, I'm definitely pushing to that point where, okay, these reps are starting to look ugly, but I don't want to get past that point where it's starting to be riskier and things like that. So we're definitely trying to avoid that piece.
Well, as long as you're not as
ugly
ugly,
reps, the ugly reps, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
as long as you're not as ugly as you, I think you'll be safe. So, no more Austin
Austin.
reps.
Yeah.
You've tried so many new things. Do you have a particular lift that has like been your favorite of the new stuff that you've tried?
Yeah, I think BJ and I talked about this when we weren't all together yet last week. The ab rollouts have been a lot of fun. I'm still terrible at them, but
Yeah.
they feel so good to like. I did them yesterday as part of the push workout, and I'm trying to do a distance, so set distance and push it out further every time, and I'm at about a meter. Right now, but getting to that point is so hard, and even an inch or two past that meter is really stretching. And I was watching, there was another guy in the gym he had fantastic form and was getting way out in front of him to the point where his nose is touching the ground. I'm not anywhere close to that, so it's cool seeing like how far away I am, but it feels so good. You can feel that burn the entire way down and the entire way up. And it's a completely different exercise to anything that I've really done before. It's working all the muscles that I don't really think it should. It's a very strange one, and like it's your whole upper body, your core, everything is working at the same time, and it's such a struggle to bring it back at the end of those sets.
Austin,
So
can you
I love
can you
that.
explain it for idiots like me that don't know what you're talking about?
Yeah, an ab rollout. It's you have a pair of wheels with a bar in front of you like this. You get down on your knees.
Okay,
And,
yeah.
yeah, you're going all the way out. The goal is to get your body completely stretched.
Sure,
And then to
okay.
roll it back. And
Okay.
yeah, it's a new one for me. I've seen people do them before, but I've never done them myself. And yeah, I'm
Same.
just trying to do some of the basic moves on it. It is such a good exercise, and it's the very end of the push workout at the beginning of the week. So you're kind of building up to all your muscles are tired. You're at the end of the workout, and you're like, okay, I'm almost done. And then you have the ab wheel, and pull that out, and it's like, oh my gosh, I have nothing left by the time you're done with them.
Well, I know exactly what we're going to do on Saturday when we all work out together, which is some ab rollouts, because you mentioned ab rollouts the other day, and you made me go find our ab wheel. It wasn't even in my gym. That's how I don't normally do them. So I went and found it. It's a really bad one. It has like 2 separate wheels that come apart, so the stability is really bad.
Oh,
But I
great.
started doing them the other day. Yeah, it's great. And I don't want to humble brag, but I am able to get all the way out. I don't know if I can touch my nose at the ground, but
That makes sense.
I still feel them. Like, they are a great core exercise. But
Well, the nice thing with them too is like it's with no weight. Like it's
Yeah.
just the wheel, and you're still getting like I'm sure the guys that are able to touch their nose, it's the full body still. So
It is.
it's fantastic exercise.
all right, well, we can keep talking about ab wheels, but what I want to talk about next is Michael's workouts. So Michael, same question to you. What did you do? What did you not do? Struggles, wins, all that.
Yeah, so I think my week has been less wins than Austin, but still some.
Yeah.
I started running. We had mentioned on the last episode that I really want to try running because I fundamentally just don't enjoy the exercise bike. And
Yeah.
I've said to you guys a couple. I don't like. I told Adam. You asked me how the first run went, and it was like it went bad. I kept coughing afterwards, and it's not like a fun ending to it. But I love being able to take my dogs out. I love being able to get their energy and also just like go out somewhere and
Yeah.
not be just like stuck on the exercise bike is what it feels like when I do that. So that's been great. And I'm actually going to I was almost falling asleep today in class. It was bad. And I wanted to go do a run today and I did not. And I am definitely going to try to do one tomorrow. But I haven't been lifting because of what I had mentioned earlier in our chat went to the orthopedic, I don't think he's a surgeon, but he might be, orthopedic doctor, and just found out today that I have like mild arthritis in my left shoulder, right in the AC joint that's been hurting for a couple of months now. And it's not extreme pain, but it's been enough that it was obviously something. Like it wasn't going away at all. So went to him, and he very quickly he was like, "Okay, does it hurt when I push here?" And I was like, "Yes, it hurts really bad." And he was like, "Cool, like stretch this way, stretch this way. Like, does it hurt? Yes. All right, cool. Like we figured it out. That's what it was."
Oh, great.
That'll be $5,000.
I mean, who knows? But yeah, so he gave me, I got an injection of an anti-inflammatory. I think it was cortisol. I don't know. Like in the joint, which was not the best feeling. But then within like 20 or 30 minutes, it was noticeably less sore. And he was like, "Well,
Oh, that's great.
yeah." He was like, "Good news, bad news is like that kind of proves what it is, but also kind of proves what it is." Which
Yeah.
is so. Yeah, I think we can kind of get back into it because this is going to change my sustainable goals into the future, and I'm gonna have to do a lot of research about like what are the. It's gonna change a lot, I think.
Well, I'm excited. I'm not excited for you. I'm sad to hear that, but I'm excited about your positive outlook on it, and I'm excited to hear from you what you learn about how to make this sustainable for yourself so you can keep being healthy, fit, exercising in whatever capacity that ultimately looks like, whether that means you're able to continue lifting in some form or fashion, or whether that means you have to take up underwater basket weaving. I will support you either way.
I think my initial thoughts are because I talked to him about what I do and like my lifting and stuff, and he said essentially like definitely give it a week or two before I try to do much of anything, but he did not make it sound like I needed to stop altogether. So I'm hoping that it might be maybe more reps, lower weights, which is not like a big deal for me. Really high weights was never really my goal, even though again kind of goes back to like I want to be able to lift my kids, and unfortunately this might be something that lowers that number of how long I can lift my kids, but it is what it is.
You're gonna be like the reverse meme now. Is you're gonna have skipped arm day, and you're gonna have just the swollest legs of all time.
Biggest legs in the world.
Just
You're gonna be
jacked
like
legs, no upper body strength.
like a Tour de France cyclist with like,
Right.
I don't know. I'm gonna make up an obscene number, 80-inch thighs, like just crazy legged.
Right. Punch like a 6-year-old, kick like a taekwondo master. Just fucking. So
that
we'll
guy,
see.
Don't let him step on you, but you can go punch him in the face. Don't worry.
I mean, I'm still probably gonna weigh like I went there today. So since the runs that I did this week, I haven't eaten this much in years. After the 2 days that I ran like consistently, I ate so much that like my wife was like, I don't know if you can keep running if we can like afford to feed you this much.
So, let's back up real quick. How much did you run both days? Because you've done 2 runs now.
Yeah, I ran 2.5 kilometers and then 2.8 kilometers the second day, and then I was gonna try to hit for 3 today just to see like how it felt, but that's gonna be tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
Awesome stuff,
but even
man.
with all that running, I'm still like solidly at like 2:01, and so I might not ever be a threat to step on people, but I might pack a powerful kick. We'll see.
Yeah, but you're like 6'9", so 201's like a healthy weight for you, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
No,
Michael's running. Speaking of running, Adam, you do a lot of running, but
Still
you also
running.
you do some lifting. So tell us about your runs. Tell us about your lifts.
Yeah.
What did you do this week?
So I've stayed consistent, right? So I think we've talked about in the past. I do something every morning, every single morning. I have found, there was a point, and it's probably been a few weeks back, when I was doing the strength routine with the dumbbells. I do about a half an hour strength routine and then basically a 30-minute run afterwards. Well, I found as I've increased my weight and my strength routine and do the run, doing that every day has been pretty challenging. So there have been some days where I just do cardio or just do the run, and I'll take a day off from the strength routine.
What's challenging about it?
To be honest, there are periods where I wake up in the morning and I'm just like drained. Like I can feel it. Like, I don't know what it is. Like I'm still like kind of tweaking. I don't know if it's like what Michael said. Like I need to be like fueling more. I need to eat more. I'm still trying to like figure that out. But I'm also at this point. So you guys know I do the same routine every day. It's getting a little boring.
I can't imagine why that would be.
Yeah, right. And so like, listening to what, you talk about, Austin, where you have like, push days, pull days, like that. I feel like I'm due for like injecting some variety into my routine, right?
You can't say injecting. Sorry.
Injecting.
Yeah,
I inject
that's
everything. Yeah.
It's discouraged in the community.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I was just using the adjustable dumbbells, like the same thing that that's pretty much what you're using right now, right? It's just the adjustables.
It is. Yeah. And then I've got another set, but yeah.
See, even when I was doing that, I still had workouts broken out by 2 or 3 days that I was cycling through. So, I mean, that's definitely something that you can do as well, is just cycle through them, and it definitely helps because you're focused on different things, and it gives you that time to rest between each workout as well.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
I think you're due to. I think the food thing for you is definitely a big limiting factor. Easily, it's not the sleep, it's not the rest and the recovery. It's definitely the food, but you're also not trying to put on a lot of size. So when you're doing all that lifting, it's you gotta. It's a give and take thing, right? What are you going to give, or what are you going to take? And you can take more food, or you're going to have to give up a little bit of lifting. But
to
Austin's point, it would be very simple for us as well to design some kind of dumbbell focused workout for you, whether that's 3 different workouts a week, whether that's 2 different, or just one completely new one. There's a lot of options to give you that variety that it seems like you're craving.
We'll have our production assistant, Tom Hardy. We'll have him put that on our notes for
Tom.
for us to
Come on,
put a
Tom.
workout routine together. So get on that, Tom, please.
Thanks, Tom. So, like Austin, I was sick, but I was sick for about a week and a half. All of last week and a bit about the week prior, a couple days the prior, and a couple days this week. But I was finally starting to recover this past Sunday and get back to a normal workout routine. I was checking my workout book here before we started, and I went like.
You should show us that book,
days
BJ. Hold that up for us.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture and we'll have Tom Hardy put it on the screen.
Okay.
Because it doesn't show up on the camera very well, but I literally went 7 days without lifting at all, and then when I came back, it was really bad. I wrote in here like, I feel so sick. Like I write little notes in my book just like on how the exercises are feeling. I write, if I think maybe I should do the weight
How to
differently or
make
more.
C4.
Yeah. More pre-workout, less pre-workout. But I got back on the horse kind of on the 8th, and then that wasn't great. So then 2 days later is when I really started. So on the 10th, I did a push day actually with Austin. We did a workout in my garage that I just kind of cobbled together, made it up, and we did that. And then after the next morning, I was like, still feeling a little tired. At that point, it was just like sinus infection. Like that's all I had. I wasn't like sick, but I was just recovering. So I did a really good leg day. I actually discovered how to do a pendulum squat on my lever arms, which I was super excited about. We'll have Tom Hardy pull up that video clip too, so you can see the setup that I was able to cobble together. But since then, I have hit every single day, barring my one mandated rest day, and they have felt absolutely fantastic. I had leg day today, absolutely freaking loved it, crushed it every single exercise. And I find leg days to be that one day of the week where I always look forward to leg day. It's weird. I think there was a period where I really dreaded leg days because of how tiring they can be. Like they will completely wipe me for 4 to 5 hours sometimes, where I'll finish that workout at about 6 a.m., 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, because I work out about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I will be in this like drained state till like noon, where I'm like, I just need a nap, but I can't take a nap. I got to work. Like I got things I got to do. And these last couple weeks of these leg days, I've been just feeling fantastic, like spot on. I don't know if it's fueling myself enough. I don't know if it's the pacing I'm taking during the workouts and giving myself a little bit longer rest periods on my squats in particular. But overall, the leg days have been going fantastic, and today's was really good. I did an exercise I haven't done in a really long time, just dumbbell step ups, literally 2 dumbbells stepping up on my bench, and did about 8 reps each with about 70 pounds on each dumbbell, and they just fried my quads and my hamstrings, everything really. My muscles felt completely drained and dead when I was done, and it was in the best way possible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
leg days is one of my favorites to do. So I'm kind of the opposite. I enjoy leg days, I think, because I have the most strength on it. So I feel like I'm accomplishing more than the arm days. Like I feel like I'm growing the most on my arms, but arms, chest, back in general, upper body, I should say. But legs is good because I get that chance to be like, okay, I do have some strength. I'm not completely amateur on all of this, so it is nice to kind of feel like you're succeeding somewhere as well as growing. So it's always fun to have those two.
They are the biggest muscles in your body, or all of your leg muscles. They are like categorically the largest muscles, and so they take so much energy and so much fuel to get through those workouts, and that's what makes them so hard and so rewarding. But everybody always also loves a good chest day, good bicep day. I'm doing arms and chest tomorrow, actually. I'm pretty pumped about it.
There's nothing like walking from a public gym though, and everybody asking, "What's wrong with that guy? He is walking funny."
Yeah.
Fair. That actually, I feel like that does lead us into the sustainable goals of the podcast of talking about. Sometimes, your sustainable goals can be different even within your same body of, are you, that was my phone falling on what I was saying.
We'll cut that out. Tom Hardy cut that out.
I was gonna let it slide, but there was the slight hesitation of like, do I say anything?
Don't acknowledge it.
2-second delay. It's like when BJ initially clapped us on.
Yeah,
What the fuck just happened?
Exactly.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, just, the idea that like you can have, and I probably will now have different ideas of sustainability even within your own body, of like what parts of your body can you push really hard right now versus what parts of your body are you still building, strength in. I know the overall, topic of the podcast today is supposed to be sustainable goals. So I don't know if that kind of leads us into talking about what are I don't know, how do you want to phrase this? What are our goals? We kind of talked about that. How do you build sustainable goals?
Yeah, I think the question of like what is a sustainable or a realistic goal is a very important one that a lot of new lifters, especially younger men, younger guys, when they first start lifting, the idea of a realistic or sustainable goal isn't even on their mind. There are so many people in general who just go into the gym regardless of their age and their gender, and they're just like, I want to lift the heaviest, the biggest thing, and I don't, that's the goal, right? Is to lift the heaviest and biggest thing in the gym, and that's their perception of what the gym is. But goals and being realistic with those goals, they don't just fluctuate on a month to month, year to year, or like decade to decade basis. They can fluctuate day to day, or even like in the workout itself. You might really work something, and then that second exercise that's targeting that same muscle group is going to just destroy you, and you've got to kind of taper it back. The same thing can be for like your cardio sessions or your running sessions. You might like really blow through a mile stretch, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like I just did that like a whole minute and a half faster per mile than I intended to do. I need to cool it down here. I'm not going to be able to finish the last 5 miles of this run. So the same principle applies to really any kind of exercise. If you put way too much emphasis and effort in one particular part of that, whether that's a day, a week, an hour, a month, a year, you're going to feel the effects of that and probably have to make some sacrifices later down the line or sooner than you think.
Absolutely. I think it reminds me of Austin's story about his lifting, of, you know, that I think such a big part of sustainability when it comes to lifting is awareness of when you need to stop, and when you might be doing damage to your body that is going to negatively impact you well into the future. And so, you know, Austin having that moment with his I think it was deadlifts.
Yeah, lower back.
Yeah, that, you know, you realized what happened and realized you need to be more conscious in the moment of, if my goal is sustainability and staying in the gym, then I need to be more conscious and rein things in a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to like adaptability within your workout too. You know, you were talking about within your workout day to day, it can change. I think the point is to have a really good overarching goal. You know, we've all kind of got the same basic goal of better overall strength. Being there for our kids is another big one for most of us here. But just having that overarching goal, and then your day to day, like getting through the workout and feeling good about yourself is something that I think every single workout, I want to walk away from the workout feeling like I did a good job. And sometimes, like you're talking about, Michael, okay, my back is really hurting right now. I don't want to keep that hurt. So if that means adjusting my workout halfway through to make sure that I'm finishing strong with what I can without pushing to where I feel bad, I think that's important, is to be aware and cognizant of your body, and being willing to, you know, take the small losses that you might have and make them a positive. Okay, I can't work my lower back right now, so is there something else I can do to still feel like I had a good workout, to still do what I need to keep building strength without exacerbating a problem that we currently have. So absolutely, I think adaptability with your workouts and being willing to take that step back and be aware of that is very important to building sustainable goals.
This comes with age, is just that realization of when you make a mistake and what you can learn from it.
Oh, absolutely.
When I first started lifting, I really injured my back pretty bad doing deadlifts. And I compressed a disc twice, and I'm really lucky I was able to get out of that. And the second time it happened, I literally said, I'm just not going to deadlift. I'm not going to deadlift. I couldn't squat for like 3 or 4 months at all. Mm-hmm. And then when I finally could, I was like, I got to like take it all the way back to ground zero to be comfortable with this. But it provides you those, if you will listen to it, it provides you those learning moments to really start figuring out, like, what did I do wrong? What do I need to do better for next time? And it's the thing I love about lifting, is that I just feel it carries over into all aspects of your life if you're willing to apply the principles and listen to the lessons that you're being taught. Adam, when it comes to running, how do you know when you're pushing too hard?
Well, and Adam, before you answer that, quick question: how long have you been running? Because I know you've been very consistent with running before you did workouts. How long have you been running in total?
Yeah, it's probably been, 2 or 3 years at this point. Actually, probably 3 years, maybe.
Because it was since COVID,
fall.
right?
It was really like COVID, right? So like when we were home, I got out every morning, right? Because I didn't feel the need to rush into the office. I could take my morning a little bit slower. I could get outside, and I was running a lot outside. Um, so yeah, about 3 years. But in terms of your question, BJ, of when do I feel like I'm pushing too hard? Um, I think it comes for me more so on like long runs when I begin to feel fatigue. So to clarify too, I'm basically more of an endurance kind of runner, right? So I'm not doing a lot of speed work or like sprinting, right? Which I probably should be because it can help with
Yeah.
endurance training too. But ultimately, I think you can begin to feel fatigue, and generally there are times too where maybe your lung capacity is just not there, or if you start to feel something, right? Like if you feel a little like tinge in your ankle or something like that, there are times you just need to be like, I need to back off, right? And
Yeah.
that can happen like during a run or and it occurs in kind of weird times, right? But yeah, I think it maybe ties into what we're
Do,
talking about, just awareness in the moment.
do you ever, like you mentioned earlier, feeling those moments of after you lift in the morning after or whenever it might be, you just kind of wake up feeling totally drained? Do you ever get that way from your running workouts?
Well, probably, yeah, I mean, likely, yeah, because I'm doing both, right? So I'm doing
Yeah.
doing the strength work and the cardio work, so it's probably a combination. And even the strength work that I do, it's in a way that it's a little bit of cardio as well, because they're essentially, I don't know,
Yeah.
they like, do you call them supersets, right? Is that what you call?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where you do like you run through the whole routine and then you repeat the set, however many
Yep.
times, right? So that becomes like sort of cardio for me too. Um,
Uh,
but yeah,
So let's talk about something that's coming up and we can set some realistic goals for. So I know in about 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be starting my winter cut, which is the stupidest thing in the world to do, by the way. Like, who the hell decided to do a cut during the holiday season? It's really not that difficult as long as I start after Thanksgiving, because that's my favorite holiday of the year. But I'm going to start this cut. I believe, Austin, you're going to be really, really, really honing in. You've been dieting and losing weight these last couple months, but you're really going to commit to a full blown cut starting in December.
That's what they tell me.
What is a realistic goal for you to achieve? And the goal, by the way, is to basically be down to a certain weight by the end of February when we're going on this Mexico trip without Michael. um, when so end of February, beginning of March. What's like your realistic goal, and then what's your stretch goal? And then I want to talk about that too.
Yeah, I think I can get down to about 105 comfortably. See, a solid.
Oh, you're doing
Yeah.
the Diet Coke and cigarette diet.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I think 140 pounds lost weight is achievable. No, I mean realistically, in the what? Because I've been working out since June. Really, I think is when I started really working out. I've lost about 10 pounds now, closer to 13 at this point. But I'm looking to get around the 235 mark, which I think is extremely achievable. The lowest I would really want to go is maybe 230. So I mean, those are I think not only highly achievable, but I think I'm going to have to tone back the cut a little bit if I'm working out at the consistency I am now, just because getting much lower than that is going to really hurt my strength and everything else like that. And the point of the cut for me is not to lose a ton of weight; it's to be at a comfortable weight, and that's where I want to be.
That's good. Well, I think that's going to be super realistic because you're not far off from that right now. So you're going to be able to take your time to get there to not compromise any strength losses. But at the same time, too, you're really for the first time ever, and in a long time, I guess, using a full gym to do your workouts. So there's still a ton of strength gains for you to be had.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
your muscles are going to continue to grow at exponential rates for a while. Honestly, up to a year, you can really expect that if you're being consistent with it. So not only are you going to continue to get stronger, but those muscles are going to continue to get bigger, and it's going to weigh more than your body fat. So you're going to lose that body fat, the weight may come to this like equilibrium, but your body composition itself is still going to change during that time, and it's going to be a crazy journey all the way till that trip, even if you're not consistently losing weight the whole time or losing it as perhaps a fast of a pace that I might be during those months.
Yeah, and I think a big point is that, from June to now, I've had the barrier. We've been talking in our chat about it. 246. I keep getting down to 246, and then that's as far as I've been able to go. And I'm trying not to focus too much on weight, because I think, again, the most important thing for me is strength and health and everything. So weight's just kind of one of those things that I think is a good thing to keep track of, but it's not really been a huge barrier. But I still, it is on one of my goals to lose weight. And, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, that's the first time that I've broken past that barrier. I haven't weighed less than 245 in, it's probably been 3 years. It's probably been since COVID.
Wow.
That I've weighed less than that.
Hell yeah,
and
man.
and since I think the beginning of November, I've consistently gone down. I'm still going down as of this morning. We'll see how tomorrow morning goes, but I feel like I might have had that point where my mass from gaining muscle was kind of matching that with losing the fat, and I think I've hit that point where I'm still gaining mass with the muscle, but that fat's starting to fall off a little quicker, and it's been nice kind of having that ability to see the scales go down a little bit as we go too. So it's just one of those. Is it necessary? No, but it feels good knowing that I'm doing something right. It feels like I'm doing something right, which I think is also important to maintaining motivation, maintaining consistency, because you have those small wins that you can look at and check the box and say, I feel good, keep doing what you're doing. So we always need those to help keep us motivated and going.
Question for you, Austin. Are you still doing any kind of cardio weekly?
Yeah, so I guess we haven't really talked through, maybe that's something we could do, is look through some of the workouts that we're all doing a little more in depth, but every day before I start the workout, I'm doing 10 minutes of rowing. I've gone through a lot of different things for cardio. You and I did running for a long time there. I kind of fell off that and started doing biking, and now that I have the full gym available, rowing has always been something that has interested me. My grandpa actually did a lot of rowing when he went to Harvard. He was on the rowing team there, so it's always been something that's kind of been interesting. And I like that it's not just cardio, but it does have a full body workout kind of with it too. So
Sure.
I've been picking that up and I've enjoyed it. So I do 10 minutes of rowing before my workouts every day. And then anything else, obviously I did rugby before too, which was usually my real cardio for the week. But rowing's kind of picked up that slack since rugby's been over.
I loved rowing when I went to a commercial gym. I miss using the rower. The problem with rowing for me is that, like you said, it's a full body workout, so it's very easy to overdo it from like a workout perspective, especially if you're doing it before your workout like you are.
Yeah.
I always loved the stair climber, and I will have a stair climber someday soon, I'm certain. I found people on Facebook Marketplace are selling their like Bowflex stair climbers for like $300.
It's crazy.
And they're like $900 brand new.
Yeah.
So
well, I will say when we open the gym, we're going to have to backdoor some of the equipment, because the rowing machines only operate in meters, and some European is making all these machines that don't convert to miles, and I'm just not going to have it in our gym. It's not acceptable.
Speak English.
Exactly. So every day, because the app I use to track everything only does miles, and I'm trying to be consistent with that. So it's like I'm not going to put in that I ran or rode 2,300 miles every day and convert it in my head. I have to do the.
Don't you have a calculator on your phone?
I do.
Yeah, if only they
I
made
don't have
something
time
that could
for
help
that.
with this.
Wow, yeah, this is such a first world problem.
Look, I'm sorry. I don't have time to Bing it, all right? There's just not enough hours in the day.
Oh, jeez.
Well, maybe that's your problem. It's taking an hour to get a result from Bing.
Yeah, you might as well ask Jeeves, too.
Yeah, so, don't worry. At our gym, we're not going to have that problem. We're American only. It'll be great.
Yeah, we're also going to have Yahoo toolbars on all the computers in the gym. It'll be free to
Absolutely.
use. We're going to collect your data, and we're going to store your credit card info for sure, but you can use them. They're free.
Yeah.
Michael,
So-
you had a question.
Yeah, you had something you were
I
gonna say,
did.
Michael.
I don't want to set particularly BJ off on too long of a rant. because you kind of, well, he touched on this a little bit, but it really goes in with the idea of setting sustainable goals, because you were talking about, you know, your weight goals versus your lifting goals, and this, in my mind, it brought up the idea of the classic body mass index, right? And could you speak a little bit on, I feel like that's something that is talked about so much from a health perspective that when you start trying to do lifting goals and exercise and things like that, it's something that, if you could explain, like, probably demotivates a certain number of people, seeing that, like, BMI not change to what they think it should be. You know what I mean?
So I guess the first comment I'm going to make is that I believe BMI, body mass index, to be an absolute garbage tier metric of any kind of health whatsoever. I really do. When it was designed originally, I think the intent behind it was a great idea, but the fact of the matter is that in this world, we are all very different shapes and sizes, and so there are going to just be different arrangements for what's going to be healthy for all the four of us sitting here, all of our friends, family. Everyone's going to have a different healthy level because we're all just completely built differently and shaped differently. So I don't like the idea of somebody basing how good of a job or how healthy they are on a BMI. I think in contrast, you know, understanding what your body composition is, meaning like what percentage of your body is composed of body fat, is a pretty good metric of whether or not you're at a healthy weight. You know, if your body, for men, if your body is sitting over, probably, I would have to check the exact number, but over 20-25% body fat, like that's a lot of body fat to be carrying around at any given time. You know, it's not necessarily sustainable for guys to be living, unless they're very active, to be, you know, 10 to 15%. But if you're getting over 30% body fat at any given time, think of all that extra weight and pressure that's on your heart and all of your other muscles. If 30% of your body is just fat, especially your heart in general, that person's probably not doing a lot of cardio, so they're not getting that heart health exercise that we need on a weekly basis, which is at a bare minimum, according to the American Heart Association, 150 minutes a week just to have a healthy heart. That's really nothing. That's not a lot at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for women, you know, that number's significantly higher. Women are going to traditionally carry higher levels of body fat. That's just biology right there. But that metric to me is a lot more important when we talk about, like, am I healthy right now? And so it gets really difficult for individuals like myself who are focused on bodybuilding or strength training to go through these fluctuations and phases of bulking up, because you got to bulk and put on weight to gain muscle and to gain strength and gain size. And then we go through these cuts to get rid of all that and staying healthy through those, because it's very easy to get way too overzealous with the bulk and just start eating cupcakes and donuts or whatever the hell else you want. And it's also very difficult to go way too extreme with the cut and cut off too much too quickly. And then, to Austin's point, you start affecting your strength gains, or you stay in that cut I've seen people stay in the cut for too long, and their body not only adapts to the cut and then they don't lose any weight, but they're not feeding themselves enough. So they're like, their cognition drops, their motor functions drop, their energy levels drop, their libido drops. All of those things drop off because you're just not feeding your body enough to keep up all those non-essential functions your body deems non-essential. So it's a very careful balance for everybody, no matter how big or how small you are. But I think at the end of the day, if an individual is concerned about whether or not their body overall is healthy, first off, there's so many things that make up what determines your overall health. But the number one metric in a exercise and fitness sense is probably your overall body fat percentage and what you're doing about that number to either get it into a healthy zone, and there's not a set number, there's definitely a zone, or bring it up to a healthy zone, because the inverse is also true. It can be way too low, you know, whether that's a bodybuilder or just somebody who's got some kind of eating disorder.
Sure. Well, and I think kind of to bring it back to, like, the BMI piece, like, I am morbidly obese according to BMI, and that's
me too.
I would say I'm not necessarily at the correct fat zone currently. I'm still working towards that, but I definitely don't consider myself morbidly obese, and that's kind of the problem with the BMI scale, is that it doesn't capture most of the population, in my opinion, especially if you're looking towards anyone that is involved in any sort of activity, heavy athletics, it seems to not really work in those situations. So there's a very wide portion of society that it's really doesn't apply to, just because it wasn't made to kind of deal with those sorts of situations.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of what I was thinking about in terms of the sustainability of, how dangerous it is to set goals based on a number like that. Because like you've said, you've worked out for a real long time, and you may not have seen that number in terms of the BMI change significantly, And so the idea of making sure that when you do set your goals, you're setting them based off of things that matter, not based off of things that may be not arbitrary. I don't want to say arbitrary, but are not a good metric of your health, right? Because if you don't see those change, you're going to feel defeated. You're not going to feel, and it's going to affect your overall ability to stick at it. You know what I mean? So I feel like really thinking about that as you're setting your goals is important.
Well, and I think to what you're saying too, Michael, is there are a lot of people that I think focus solely on weight to a hyper negative degree. I do have a weight goal, mainly because I know that it is a sustainable goal, and I'm willing to put that as a secondary one. If I don't hit that 235, it's not going to hurt my feelings, because my main focus is to build strength and be healthy. So it's more of an aspirational one. If I can get down to that, if I can not get down to that but still feel and look very healthy and make myself feel good, it's not something that I have to stand by. But there are a lot of people, I think, that set unobtainable goals where they're strictly focused on their weight. And
Yes.
To what I was speaking on earlier, the first 3 months I had a barrier I was not able to get past. I was working out really consistently. I definitely gained a lot of strength in that time, but if I'm judging it just by the number on the scale, I didn't make any progress. And that's something that it can really break down those goals very quickly if you're focused on the wrong things and you aren't realizing those small victories along the way. So I think that's something that's definitely changed from my perspective. When I worked out previously, that was the main focus, was the number on the scale. And there's a reason I fell off of that, is because I wasn't realizing the right gains. I wasn't focused on the right things, and it definitely dissuades a large group of people. So setting good goals, focusing on, what is a healthy goal to have, is going to help, leaps and bounds over, even if you have a good workout. If you're not going to focus on the right things, you're not going to succeed with any goal.
Yeah, and if we just don't have a
Absolutely.
comprehensive look at the full picture too, then it's going to be impossible to really gauge what has the progress been and what might be holding me up.
I think that one aspect that is not always talked about when it comes to not necessarily making sustainable goals, but making sustainable progress, is the community that you're in.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea that, like, your goal very well may be sustainable, but it comes down to your consistency, like, working towards that goal. It might feel unattainable, it might feel unsustainable if you are not able to stick at it long enough to see, like Austin said, to break through that potential barrier that you might have at first.
Plateau.
Right. And the importance of a community that pushes you and encourages you to stick through those times, and I feel like it's a thing that, like, it's not necessarily about what goals you set, but about surrounding yourself with people that are going to encourage you to actually reach those goals.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
that's something that BJ and I have talked about a lot, is wanting to build that community and to make sure that we have those sorts of support networks, because to build a solid motivational group is such a boon, to be able to actually meet goals and to feel like you're making progress, because there's a lot of times too that we're not going to see kind of the progress that others are able to. So that's important to have an outside source that can say, okay, look, you've been really consistent. I can see what you're doing, whereas you might feel down on certain things. So you're absolutely right, Michael. Having a group around you to be able to acknowledge those small gains is a huge help.
And Adam doesn't realize it, but when he runs this marathon, he's going to need our help. And we will be there.
Hopefully I'll be with him.
Yeah.
I
And
hope
you.
I have a
And
few
probably-
folks on this call with me.
Well, I won't be with you. I'll be much further behind you, but
I actually had a question. I was going to circle back around to you, Adam, about the running, because one of the things that I'm curious about is like just
what are you
trying
running from?
to.
Oh,
well,
sorry, that wasn't your question.
That was
That's
brought up
episode
last
3.
time. No, is
Episode 3. Running from your fears.
as someone who's just starting off, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I am curious about is like, how long do you run without taking like a walking break?
I mean, most of my runs don't have walking breaks these days, but when I
He's not a baby, Michael. He's not a baby. He's like, man.
when
He's
Grow
a
up.
man.
Again,
No,
I gotta know what my goal is.
I have to think back though, like, you know, like when I started, there was certainly that period where there were walking breaks, right? Like, you know, I say that now, like, because I've been doing it for a while, but I can recall and I can remember those days when I didn't really enjoy running. Like it wasn't something that I enjoyed. I knew I needed to do it though. Like I knew something in me, I needed to have some exercise, right? But in terms of like taking breaks, like you have to sort of listen to your body, right? And like we talked about, like have some awareness. And so, especially, you know, you're going to be on day 3, right? Like tomorrow, essentially. So like, take it slow. Like there's, and that was one thing I was going to kind of get at is like, you know, like setting. I'm sort of like an anti-goal setter to some degree. I just try to not think about the end result, but just do something every day. You know, like and results will happen naturally. Now, it's not to say that like you don't want to have some general understanding of what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
But if you dwell on like the end result, and you're not seeing progress or something like that, it is a bummer, right? Like a lot of people
Right.
see that as like
Yeah.
a negative. I just try to take a little bit more of like a laid back approach to it.
I think the piece you have that a lot of people don't have and where they end up failing is that you've got the consistency. And at the end of the day, if you're consistent, you're going to make progress. It doesn't matter. I was engaging in a conversation with somebody online just the other day, and we were talking about, they were asking, like, what if I only do 2 days a week? Is that going to make, like, am I going to make progress? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it going to be as fast as 3 or 4 or 5 days a week? No. But are you still going to make progress? Definitely. More than you would if you made 1 day a week or no days a week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all just about like there's this big equation to overall progress, and there's so many little factors inside of that. Not one thing is going to determine whether or not you're actually going to make progress. Now I need to have a plan. I'm going to write this workout down every morning when I sit down. I literally write the workout out that I'm about to partake in. I know what I'm going to do before I get there, but I write it down, and I'm like kind of coaching myself through it. I'm like, all right, the last time you did this was hard, or you did this weight, it's time to increase it, those types of things. So I need a plan when I go in. I've got to have a plan, or I'm just going to flounder, and it's probably not going to be a great workout. I'm going to push my ass off when I'm in there, and I'm going to go, and it's going to be consistent. And so that'll make up for perhaps the lack of a plan. But if I do that every day, I feel like I would just be not making much progress, especially when it's at the level that I'm at, where it needs to be almost scientific to ensure that I'm going to keep making progress after nearly 10 years of weightlifting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think when we were going to Lunkin, Adam and I, it's a 5-mile loop, I think, if I'm not mistaken. When we were doing that, the mile markers were usually my thing. I would go the full mile, and then the nice thing about Lunkin was there's a lot of signs along the route, and I'd get to that mile marker and say, okay, that sign, I'm going to walk till that sign. And then, you know, even if it's at a slow pace, you know, and I think I was at a 9-ish minute mile at that point in time, but you know, that's with taking the breaks and just kind of picking a landmark, picking something and setting a small goal. And then, you know, as I got better at it, there were times where, okay, I can do the 2 miles. I can get to the next mile marker without having to take that break. So obviously, as you're going along, your goal is going to change slightly every single time of how far can you go and your distance on it. And that, you know, that's where Adam's at now, is he doesn't take those breaks anymore because he's built that endurance up. But I think that's also kind of the small victories that I was talking about, is like when you hit that goal, when you do that full mile without taking a break, it feels good. You've hit that tiny goal every single day, and then as you get better, you can push that goal, and it feels good to have small victories. I think that's something that is very consistent with me, is trying to hit a small victory every single workout. I did one more push-up than I did last time. It's the small things like that that make you feel good about what you're doing, that a little improvement every single time is going to make you feel good at the end of your workout, and that's what I think I focus on.
You know what else keeps Adam going? He's freaking jacked. He's yoked. He sends me a flex picture every day.
Tom Hardy pulled the
He
picture
gets
reel
it
up.
in there, and he's like, my
Pull it up,
wife.
Tom.
My wife. Tom, throw up some of. I've got an album of them. Throw them up
dear
there.
Lord.
All 180 of them. No, you just don't quit. And I think that's a whole nother conversation we can talk about another day. And I think we should. Just those moments when you want to quit and you can't. And I don't know. That's just a part of me sometimes where I'm like, whether it's running or whether I don't run anymore. But when I'm lifting and I'm like 6 reps in and I've still got 2 or 5 or 6 more. You might take that second pause, but there's that voice in the back of your head that's like, you can't give up. You can't just stop. You've got to keep going. And it's in those moments when you do push through it, when it would be so much easier to just stop and give up for that set, that day, that week, whatever. But again, I go back to the gym can teach you, fitness can teach you so many lessons if you're willing to learn about what it means to push through and just deal with it, because life just has a way of throwing these things at us. Austin and I had a kid in the last year. Michael had another kid in the last year. Adam has 2 dogs now. And so we've all gone through these life changes that required some adjusting. And it's so easy to sit back and just kind of throw your hands up and give up and be like, this blows. This sucks. I don't want to do this. So when we're in Mexico and we all find our second wives, and they find their second husbands, by the way, for the audience
Obviously.
listening, their second husbands sound great. We're going to need a whole new podcast with our ex-wives' second husbands. We'll need to come up with a name. We're going to have to workshop that, but we're going to have to do that another time because we're out of time today. And we've really wrapped this up really well, guys. So thanks again for joining us. Adam's going to clap us out early.
Every time.
Again.
That's the end of the podcast. Clap us out.
Me now.
It's done. Yeah. All right. Have a great
Cheers,
one,
guys.
everyone.